Hello there. I'm Scotty. You're not. Welcome back to Birth Month. And you know what? I should stop writing out schedules of what I'm going to do because when I do, I always end up changing them. Because we have an impromptu revisited to talk about. We have three, but we're doing two in a row here. We're starting with Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie, which I reviewed it about 3 years ago. But, I'm back at it. I never covered it. I didn't cover it for Birth Month. I covered it when I bought them off eBay. So, yeah. So I figured I should cover them for Birth Month because both of these mean a lot to me from growing up. I had both on VHS, and I actually went to the theater to see this one. Yep, I can vaguely remember my mom taking me there. We're standing outside, waiting to go in, and I'm excited, and I'm sitting there in the theater. I remember some moments over others. But yeah, and unlike others who grow up or, here's my thing. I've heard so many people, even Big LT himself, has said, after Mighty Morphin, I stopped watching. It wasn't worth it. It's like, then you're not a Power Rangers fan. Oh, I only like the originals. Then you're not a fan. Because to be a Power Rangers fan, like, oh, you Power Rangers? I'm a fan of Power Rangers. Did you watch them all? No, I just watched the originals. Then you're not a fan. You watched Power Rangers growing up, you liked the original show, and then you stopped. To me, that does not make you a fan. That you just watched the original show and that was it. And I can understand some people saying, oh, I only watched the original show if you liked it. But then you really didn't get into the best parts of the show because Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, hate to say it, it's not good. Seasons 2 and 3 get better. Okay, season 3 gets better. Season 2 is a little bit better, but there's problems. Season 1 was so cheaply made because all they really did, verbatim, is what you are told. It is American footage mixed with Japanese tokusatsu footage, and that is it. Starting with season 2, they started to work their own American footage in, which is where you get Lord Zed, who is not from the Japanese version. And they used the same suits, so they had to use American footage. And then the White Ranger suit that they eventually use is taken from the next season of the Tokusatsu Sentai series called Dai Ranger. Not Zero Ranger, which is where the first season suits were taken from. The red, blue, yellow, green, black, pink original suits, those are all from Zero Ranger. White Ranger is from Dai Ranger, and they didn't use the other 5 Dai Ranger suits. Same thing with the ninja suits from Kako Ranger. What's it called? The ninja season of that. Hold on. So because season 2 and 3 had to put in more American footage, it was made better. Season 2 was still a clusterfuck, though, because of the ongoing dispute between Austin St. John, Walter Manuel Jones, and Ty Tran over wanting more money, which resulted in their characters being cut and stock footage being used in most of their appearances. Maybe not at the beginning, but in later appearances you can tell because Walter Emanuel Jones, who had dreads at the time, magically had his flat top back from season 1. And Tommy, who by this point was the White Ranger, could be seen in scenes wearing a green shirt because he had to match up with the stock footage they were using. Yeah. Eventually they brought on Rocky, Adam, and Aisha, and then this movie came. When the idea for this movie happened, the show was so popular, they started working on it during season 2, and then the pay dispute happened, and they had to drop those 3 characters, bring in the new 3 characters, and now we have this. And to keep it cheap, let's go to Australia. something very similar the Disney seasons would start doing. They go to New Zealand, which is kitty corner from Australia. But, yeah. So now we have this movie, released in 1995. And I remember seeing a special on HBO back in the day, back before it was a high channel. Back when it was Channel 4 and part of the regular cable. A featurette, which is on the Blu-ray, by the way. It's the same one. I realized that when I first got the Blu-ray and I watched it. This is the thing I watched on HBO. Yeah, where they talk about the suits and the stunts and everything, and how the suits are better because they had a budget now, so they have plastic suits. But in my opinion, because here's the thing, the whole story, it's a basic story where a new enemy shows up, their powers are destroyed, they have to go to a distant place to get new powers. But because the suits were so popular, it's the same suits, right? And it's literally pretty much the same plot as the 4-part Ninja Quest in Season 3. Where a new enemy shows up. This time it's Rito Revolto, Rita's brother. He destroys the Thunder Zords. Their powers are gone. They have to travel to a different place to get ninja powers, but it's the same suits. Have to come back and they fight them with the ninja powers. They have to, and at the end they defeat the giant purple villain. It's pretty much the same, only that was canon. This is not. And I never got why. They wanted to do their own thing, I guess. I don't know. But, yeah. And one more thing before I start. Because I don't have anything before I start. Blow my nose. Let me blow my nose before I start. Talking about the actual movie now. Hold on. Alright. So the movie opens up with ripping off Star Wars, which ripped off Ben-Hur, so let's move on. We get the text scroll with Dulcia, who we haven't met yet, reading off this whole text scroll about how many years ago Zordon put together some teenagers in ancient times, because that makes sense in the 90s. Ancient times, not so much. If there were like 6 ancient warriors, which also doesn't make sense, because there's supposed to be 5. They never do explain how the Green Ranger's coin got to Rita in the first place. Apparently there was some backstory that Zordon and Dulcia were both Rangers, which would kind of mean that Dulcia is the Green Ranger, which I don't know how that would explain how Rita got the coin, but in the 2017 Power Rangers movie, they explained that Rita was the Green Ranger, which makes a whole lot of sense. And something I never thought of until they released the promo stuff for the movie, and I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. Because you always wondered how she got the power coin. Well, duh, if she was the Green Ranger, you know? Although this version of Rita probably doesn't fit that, but there was an ancient evil called Ivan Ooze that was locked away by the 6 original Rangers before Rita got all the green coin, apparently. And now it's about to be released again, and then we get a title card. Remember Power Rangers movie end? We're going skydiving. Keep on trying till I reach the higher ground. Only it's not Stevie Wonder, it's Red Hot Chili Peppers, this is the version of the song that I like. Because, you know, they didn't play it on the radio or anything, but I liked this version. When I heard the Stevie Wonder version, I'm like, this is a little bit different, you know? And we're going skydiving because we got a budget. And we're going to spend that budget. Not on CGI effects, but we're going to spend it. Yeah, you know, if you had gotten rid of some of this stuff like, you know, skydiving or skating and spent more on the CGI budget, you know, you get these fancy suits and then you get the Megazord sequences and it's just, Reboot. When Reboot had better effects, oy. So we're going skydiving. with the Rangers and Bulk and Skull, who are also there. Because of course they are. And we find out this is some big charity fundraiser thing. Pay no mind that it will actually cost a lot of money for 8 people to go skydiving for school. Also, as they're coming down, they treat like it's only the 6 Rangers that matter. Because after Tommy touches, like, yeah, they did it! And they're all celebrating, they come running up, and I'm like, wait, no. Nobody's waiting for, literally, that's how it ends. That's how the fundraiser ends, and they don't care about Bulk and Skull. Justice for Bulk and Skull, by the way. But they don't care about Bulk and Skull, and they just let them, they're like, oh, where's Bulk and Skull? Oh, Ernie's serving a free dessert with lunch. They probably landing on the roof. They could have run out of gas and crashed by now. Their parachute might not have worked, and they could have just splat on the ground. But let's make jokes. No, they're fine. This is a kid's movie. We also meet Fred Kelman, who, when I was a kid, I mistakenly thought was Fred Kelvin. Fred Kelman, who is not the kid from Turbo, which is what I thought later, but no. And his dad, Mr. Kelman, we don't know his first name. But what we do know is he cannot hide his Australian accent. Oh my God, he's talking to Tommy here. The Zoltar's going to get new lease on life, huh? I'm like, good God, this guy cannot hide his Australian accent. He's trying, but not very well. The kid who is a kid can hide his Australian accent better than a 40-year-old man. You know? Yeah, and also talk about something called Ryan's Comet, which is not important until the climax. But they bring it up a whole bunch at the beginning of this. Oh boy, do they. But we find out where Broken Skull is. You know, the Rangers, they go skating to the valley. The mountain is wide, the valley is low, and you're the road to each way to go. And give me a hand and lead me into the promised land. So come on and take a free ride. Yes, that song is they're skating because we got a budget, but we're not going to spend on anything creative. We're just going to show them skydiving and skating, and then Broken Skull land in a construction yard. And these other construction people, one of which also has a hard time with his accent, but not Dave, this other guy, who is like, Dave, you come look at this. And then, like, later, when he's supposed to be Ivan Ooze, he's like, a morphological being. Like, does he look something like this? He really, some people just can't hide their accent. But anyway, they show up and they're like, hey, who are you? We're like, oh, we're from the Anthropo Building Inspector's office. Yeah, that building's supposed to be over there. You take this seriously? They're like, mm-hmm. No, you don't know if they actually take it serious, but they're like, Dave, you look at this. Go ahead, Dave. Are you hungry? Always. So they're going to go get food. I don't understand the point. The only reason this happens is to transition us to the next scene. Because they're stuck up there. We don't see what's going on. We see them jump. Then we get the free ride sequence. Because the jump transitions us into free ride. And free ride transitions us to them landing, which sets us up for the scene where they find the giant ooze egg. Okay. Right. So, yeah, they find this thing, one of them gets zapped, and then we cut to the new and improved command center, excuse me. Yes, which, yeah, it looks better, but, you know, the thing is they brought back Richard Wood to do the voice of, or Richard, Zim. They brought him back to do the voice of, he's the only one from the show besides the Rangers that comes back, and Broken Skull, but, And they're like, oh no, Ivan News has been released. You have to stop them. But wait till nighttime. I'm serious. It's daytime when they teleport there, because they're in the middle of their skate and they teleport there. And then when they teleport to the construction site, it's nighttime. Hey, wait about 4 hours and then go. It's urgent, but wait till it's nighttime. But it's urgent, but wait till it's nighttime. But you must stop him, but wait till it's nighttime. Meanwhile, Lord Zed, voiced by the late, great Robert Axelrod, and Rita Repulsa, voiced by Barbara Goodson, show up with Goldar and the Pink, who's not from the show. And I guess in earlier drafts of the script, he was a cousin of Goldar, twice removed or some shit. I don't know. What is his name? Murtagh, something like, I don't know. He's a pig. And they find the Ooze and they free him and they have a conversation. And we get Ivan Ooze, played by Paul Freeman, who is not dead. Everybody keeps saying he is dead. He is not dead. He did not die. He is alive. He is very much alive. I don't know why everybody keeps saying that he's dead. Even 20 from Hacked Movies like, oh, actor passed away a few years ago. No, still alive. He's still alive. He played Belloc in Raiders of the Lost Ark. He was also in that fantastic film Double Team with Jean-Claude Van Damme and Dennis Rodman and Mickey Rourke and the Tiger and the Frying the Coke. And yes, fantastic film. I will hear no naysaying of that movie. It is fantastic. It's stupid, but fantastic. Anyway, a lot of Van Damme movies are stupid, but fantastic. You know. Anyway. So they get there, and that's where they see that security guard guy who got knocked out earlier. Morphological thing. Like, you look something like this. Turns into Ivan Ooze, and this is where we get some of the lines. Earlier, what's that smell? Teenagers. And they show up and everything, and there's some cheesy lines that they get. Like, Rocky says in line that is equal to the line that Sindel says in Mortal Kombat Annihilation, where she's like, too bad you will die. It's very similar to that, but with a different kind of delivery. We'll send you back where you came from, or something like that. But like, we're the Power Rangers. Woo-wee, where's my autograph book? The Power Rangers, eh? So Zordon is still using kids to do his dirty work. Well, meet my kids! And then a bunch of ooze things, which they were going to use rat creatures, ooze rats, but the stuntman had a hard time in the suits, so they saved those for the episode Return of the Green Ranger, I think it was, where they attacked Puritan people in Angel Grove because all the Rangers but Tommy are sent to the past and he's stuck fighting an evil Green Ranger. I believe that's what the episode is. But that's the only one I remember giant rats from. So, yeah. Instead, they have ooze men that go when they squish. And they fight them to the song Be Prepared. Action boy now, action girl now, be prepared to walk across the mountain. And I will point out that Adam says kick the can, but he has a bucket, not a can. You ever play kick the can? Yes, but that's a bucket. And Tommy gets a stick because of course he does. And we get the you get ooze in his hand and stuff, you know. And they're too strong, so you know that means it's Morphin time. And they do it out of order. They do. He goes Triceratops, Pterodactyl, Tyrannosaurus, Saber-tooth tiger, white tiger, Mastodon, saber-tooth tiger, white tiger instead of Tigerzord for some reason. And we see the new suits. Now, like I said, I think if they were to have this whole thing in this movie, because this movie is non-canon, it's technically comes between season 2 and 3 because that's when it was released, but it's not non-canon. So, I'm not saying get new suits, but use the show suits for this opening fight, and then their powers are gone. So when they get the new powers, then they have the plastic suits. So that you can say, oh, they got a bit of an upgrade. And they have the new emblem on them. Even though the helmets look the same. We'll get to that when we get to it. But, yeah, so now they're kicking butt. As the Power Rangers kicking these ooze things and squishing them. And then Tommy whips out the sword. But he can't use it like this. No. Instead, lasers are fine. Psh! To hit this crate. Squishes them. Right? Then their powers go bye-bye. Because during this, Ivan Ooze shows up. And he destroys the command center. By talking about all the things he missed. The Black Plague. The Spanish Inquisition. And he also says he knows the Renaissance. I've had a Charlie horse since the Renaissance. The Spanish Inquisition, the Black Plague, the Spanish Inquisition, and they ad-libbed the Brady Bunch reunion. One may ask, how do you know about all those? Now, ad-lib line aside, the other three, the Renaissance, the Spanish Inquisition, and the Black Plague, who's to say he wasn't sentient inside that egg, right? And while we're talking about that egg, it makes no sense that it took this long to find it. Because if it was centuries ago that it was buried by the warriors in an ancient Angel Grove, when they put in sewer systems and tunnels, they would have found that thing then. Right? I'm just saying. But if he's sentient and he's stuck in there and can't get out, but he's monitoring everything, he could know about the Black Plague and the Spanish Inquisition and the Renaissance and hell, even the Brady Bunch reunion. I don't know. I knew of the Brady Bunch. I popped for that as a kid. Oh yeah, Brady Bunch. Dun, 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 dun. So yeah, he destroys everything, and Rangers show up, and Zordon, who, as you know, is stuck in a light tube thing because it's what keeps him alive. But now he's dying. So Alpha says that there's one last chance to have enough power to teleport them to a distant planet of Phaedos to get new powers. And so they do. But, Ivan Ooze shows back up at the palace and is like, hey, they're like, hey, you didn't get the Power Rangers. They flew off. They're still alive. They're not destroyed. And he's like, you know what? Forget about this. And he shrinks down Zed and Rita into a snow globe and then asks the other two, well, you want to join them? And they're like, praise you, hey. So, yeah, now they're working for Ivan Ooze. And they're stuck in a snow globe. So then he hawks a Lugia and they turn into Tengas, or Tengu warriors as he says here, but Tengas in the series. They're the foot soldiers that they use for the ninja tokusatsu, I think. Or ninja sentai, I think. That's what that... Anyway. He sends them after them to Phaedos, and they get there pretty quick after they do, I guess. And they have a fight, but they're too strong because they have no powers. So then we get a hooded person coming in with whistling sticks. This is revealed to be Dulcia, played by Gabrielle Fitzpatrick, who was originally originally it was Gabrielle Fitzpatrick, but she had a health emergency, so she was replaced with Mariska Hargitay from Law & Order SVU. But apparently something happened and Fitzpatrick was brought back. So there are still photos of Mariska Hargitay in the role. So, she uses her whistling sticks to repel them and then tells them to leave. When they try to talk to her about it, she knocks Tommy down, which is impressive that he's the one that knocked down because he's the leader, the strong one, the one that kicks the ass, but no, he's knocked down. But then they mentioned Zordon. She's like, oh, Zordon? We had a backstory, but they cut it. So she takes them to this temple. She gives them new powers. You know, the Red Ranger is the ape, the Pink Ranger is the crane, the Blue Ranger is the wolf, the Yellow Ranger is the bear, the White Ranger is the falcon, and the Black Ranger is the frog. Yep. Because they're using the second set of mechs from the Ninja Sentai. Because the first set was actually the Shogun Zords. What I call the Shogun Zords, and then those were the ones. Which confuses me as why there's two white Zords, basically, because there's no Pink Ranger in the Sentai. No, which is why when they got the Shogun Zords, oh, you and Kimberly could share the white Zord. But then Bandai released the toy and made it pink. Because that's what all the other Zords were. That's absolutely stupid. Anyway, so she says they're going to venture through the forest to get to this other temple where the powers are. Because though they have powers now, but to get their powers back, they have to go on a quest, I guess. But she can't leave because, like Zordon, if she leaves this post, she'll be weakened. But she can go to the beach, and that's as far as she could go to the beach, but she can't leave past that. Kind of stupid. That was the reason for saying, oh, she can't go with them, basically. Could have just said, you have to do this on your own. I can't help you, but make up this excuse. She was just on the beach, but she can go that way, but not the other way. Meanwhile, Ivan Ooze has enacted his plan to get his Ectomorphicons, Ectomorphicon Titans, which are his Megazords, basically. And what is his plan? Well, he uses his ooze, which I remind you is his bodily fluid, and he sells it to kids. Well, not sells it, he gives it to kids for free, with the hope that their parents will find it, touch it, and become brainwashed. And guess what? Every single parent in Angel Grove does that, except for Power Rangers parents, because we never see them anyway. Yeah, his plan works perfectly, and it makes no sense why an adult would see this and go, oh. Now, I would see that and go, ooh, because that's me. I'm a kid at heart. But these adults are all the stuffy adult types, especially Fred's dad, who sees it, touches it, and gets, because they're giving it away for free. But then, like, I guess if a kid goes, hey, Dad, look at this. Oh. But then if that's the case, like, we find out later that all the kids are just doing whatever they want because their parents don't care anymore. But, like, I have serious doubts that Fred would be the only one that cares about his dad. Everyone else would just say, fuck it. Including Bulk and Skull. And they try to make it like they're also brainwashed because of the ooze making them behave this way or something. But it's never really explained, and that was never a part of the plan. Oh, and we also have to drag out the runtime with Ivan Ooze making some guy do the swim. The Tengus arrive and tell them what happened. He gets mad and kills them. And then does nothing. I'm serious. He says, you want to take another stab at it? And he's like, or you want to take another crack at it? I'll be taking another crack at it. Kills them. And then doesn't do anything to stop them. She says, we need to hurry up and find my Morphicons quickly. Really? Not, let's do something to stop him. Let's send another monster. Let's hawk another loogie. No, just find them quicker, he says. Right. Sure. And it's at this point that Fred has figured out something's happened to his dad, tries to talk to him, but he's brainwashed, and yeah. The Rangers go through the woods. We get a Jurassic Park reference when they find a bunch of dinosaur bones, and Adam says, welcome to Jurassic Park. Because that came out 2 years earlier. Yep, make that reference. And then they fight this giant dinosaur creature thingy, whatever it is. Take him down. And then there are these stone warriors I have a hard time taking down, but they eventually do. using their ninja powers, which frees the other powers. They get back, and it's the same suits. Again, if they use the show suits at the beginning and these new suits now, I think it would have worked. I know people would have seen the new suits in the commercials and be like, when they morphed at the beginning, hey, where are those new suits you showed us? And then say it was a cop-out to show them just at the end, but I think it would make more sense if they did it that way. No, they get back to Angel Grove, and the Ectomorphicans are destroying the city. So, naturally, let's fight the Ectomorphicons before saving Zordon, which is the reason why you went to get the powers to begin with. Yeah, I'm not kidding. Even as a kid, not the first time I went to see it, but when I had the VHS, that made me think, wait, they got these, even later in life too, I'm just like, wait, weren't they supposed to, maybe it wasn't when I was a kid, maybe it was when I was older, I was like, wait, they went there to get the power so they can help restore Zordon. So why don't they go restore Zordon first, then fight the Ectomorphicons? Nope, let's bring out the very bad CGI Megazord, which doesn't look like the one from the show. It's similar, but the head is very different. And it's just they fight in their Zords, which they could just, form the Megazord and deal with it, But no, they fight, and they form the Megazord, and oozes himself into the bipedal one, the one that walks on two legs, and they have a fight. While, thanks to Fred, well, not really thanks to Ivan, but Fred gets the others to go stop the parents, because now they had found the Ectomorphicons, they're no use, so Ivan tells them to leave to their doom, so Fred rounds up the other kids and Bulk and Skull to go save them, and the monorail gets destroyed. By the way, there's a monorail on Angel Grove for some reason, but it gets destroyed by Ivan when he uses it as a staff, or he steps on it. The staff is the observatory, which is what they did the fundraiser for anyway, but, sure. And also Goldar was on there, but anyway. So Tommy flies in with the Falcon Zord so that they can go smoothly across, and he says, "Good luck, kids." I'm like, wait, how the hell does he know what they're doing? How does he know who's in there? For all he knows, it's just a monorail. And it's going to crash. How do you know not only who is in there, but exactly what they're trying to do? This makes no sense to me. Anyway, moving on. So they get to the quarry, because there's always going to be some sort of quarry in Power Rangers, where they're going to leap to their doom. And by the way, I've always thought that's not that far a leap. They're going to get injured, break their legs, maybe an arm or two, but they're not going to die. It's not that steep. It's really not. It's maybe, I'm on the second floor of my building. It's probably about that. If I jump out the window, sure, I'll hurt a leg, an arm, won't die. Especially if I land right. And again, there's grass out there. Maybe if I jump far enough, I can land in a tree. That won't happen. I really don't think it's that far of a jump, but from one area it looks like it's steeper, but then another area it doesn't. I don't know. So Fred recruits Bulk and Skull. He tells all the other ones to try to push them. And Fred recruits Bulk and Skull to get a power washer to spray the adults back, which would take off their skin, because a power washer could do that. It takes your skin off. I know, because I stupidly tried to wash my hands with one and took some of my skin off. Don't do that, please. It just kind of pushes them back a little bit. It doesn't stop them. It's like, no, you'd be taking some skin off, man. It's a power washer. In 95. No. So the Power Rangers come up with a plan, now that Tommy has reconnected, to make the Ninja Mega Falcon Zord, to stop him. Ryan's Comet, mentioned at the beginning of the movie. You remember that? Remember? You remember? Remember the comet? Remember? You remember? Well, they knee him in the balls, because a robotic ooze man has those. It works, and he goes right into the comet, which is on fire, but comets are cold, so I don't know. Because they're in space, and space is cold, but I don't know. It destroys him, because, of course, and then everything's celebrated, the spell is broken. And we go to Ernie's juice bar, which is outside, which would be later in Turbo, but here it's an outside because we're in Sydney, Australia. And we never see Ernie. Richard Denell, not in this. Couldn't fight him over, huh? Except, they do film some episodes at the end of season 2, beginning of season 3, in Australia. Notably, the episode "The Wedding," where they go to Australia on a trip. I don't know. They had to because there was some layover between those. But anyway, we get Bulk and Skull trying to say they're heroes. They get their moment, but not till in space, unfortunately. And I like how Fred shows up and hey, Fred, I heard you say today, huh? Nah. Wait, I'll tell you your line to be a Power Ranger yourself one day. Fred Kelman, the Silver Ranger. Has a good ring to it. Fred Kelman, the Gold Ranger. There you go. And then the fireworks happen. It says, thanks you, Power Rangers. And I love Bulk and Skull's reaction. Power Rangers? Bulk and Skull! And then we get the song, and get higher and higher, straight up we'll fly, by Van Halen, or some people say Van Hagar. It's the same thing for me. I like both versions. And we get the moment that I remember the most from the theater, is when the song starts playing and both Tommy and Kimberly look at each other. My mom says next to me, "Oh, just kiss already." I'll never forget that. I'll never forget it, because it's just the way she said, "I'll just kiss already." And little kid me in 1995 didn't realize they were actually a thing on the show. By this point, I think they already had their kiss, because it wasn't when like Green No More, when he loses his powers, they kiss, right? I think that's what it is, and that already happened. So, and I also like the line that Jason has in Forever Right. He's like, "I was the one fighting the bad guys, where he was at the juice bar kissing on Kimberly." I like that line. But yeah. Although they all fought together. Whenever he wasn't fighting, it says he has no powers. Yeah. Oh, we get a mid-credit scene where Goldar is now going to be in charge of everything until Zed and Rita showed up, and then we get into the song. Uh-oh, we're in trouble. Something's coming along, and it burst our bubble. Yeah. There you have it. To the moon. I know the CGI is bad, but this has so much memories for me. So many good memories for me, watching it at the theater, getting a VHS and watching it at home many times, irritating my mom with how many times I watched it. I have memories of me watching it in the living room where I have a coloring book or something, It's... yeah. I have to do that. I have to give it that score. I can't. Now, nostalgia is not going to play too much into the next one, because while I did constantly do double features, watching both back to back, I never really liked Turbo as much. It would just be, if I'm watching the first one, I have to watch this one too. Even though they are starkly different, quality and everything. Although, I will say, the effects in Turbo are much better, because they had to connect with the show. So, they had to have that connection, where this one was purely just to put out a Power Rangers movie. So, yeah. So, what are your thoughts on Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie? Let me know in the comments below. You should like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. I'm Sky, and I'll see you in the next one.